Title: Episode 13, The Wednesday War. Content: Katherine Morrison woke Wednesday morning to her phone buzzing before dawn. She'd managed 3 hours of sleep after leaving James Rivera's apartment past midnight, her mind churning through coalition strategies and board defenses. The screen showed 5:23 a.m. and 17 missed calls. She sat up in her hotel bed, still too quiet, too separate from the reality she'd lived for 9 days, and scrolled through the call log. Sarah Chen, Patricia Hughes, Jennifer Walsh, David Park, 3 unknown numbers that were probably reporters, and 4 calls from Marcus Westfield between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. that she'd silenced. The Wall Street Journal article loaded on her phone, and Katherine felt her stomach drop. Skyward Airlines CEO faces ultimatum as board loses confidence. Sources close to the board reveal Morrison given just days to reverse declining performance or face removal. The article was worse than she'd feared. Anonymous quotes from senior board members claimed she was manufacturing crises to justify radical policies and alienating institutional shareholders with populist rhetoric. There were references to the suspended CFO Richard Pemberton that made his removal sound hasty and political rather than a response to documented fraud. Worst of all, the piece quoted employees who requested anonymity, expressing skepticism about whether management changes would last. Katherine's hands shook as she texted Sarah, "In office by 6. Coffee strong." The response came immediately. "Already here. You're going to need it." Miguel looked surprised when Katherine walked through the headquarters lobby at 5:47 a.m. for the second morning in a row. "Miss Morrison," he said, then caught himself. "Katherine, you okay?" She managed a tired smile. "Getting there. How's Maria's Mars project coming?" She stayed up until 1 a.m. painting the surface details on her rover model. Miguel's face lit up despite the early hour. "Used a magnifying glass to get the solar panels right. Kids got dedication." "She gets that from somewhere," Katherine said. "Thanks for being here, Miguel. Means more than you know." She caught his expression as she walked toward the elevators. Surprised, pleased, like he wasn't used to being thanked. 5 years of daily interactions, and she'd never bothered to see him as more than part of the building's infrastructure. Sarah was waiting in Katherine's office with 2 large coffees and a laptop open to what looked like a spreadsheet from hell. "Tell me," Katherine said. Stock opened down another 3% in pre-market trading. The Journal article is trending on financial Twitter. I've got 6 interview requests from business media, 3 from general news outlets, and 1 from 60 Minutes. Sarah paused, and Westfield's office called at 5:30 a.m. demanding you attend an emergency executive session at not a board meeting. Executive session. Just board members. No counsel, no observers, which means he's trying to move fast before the forensic investigation into Pemberton produces results. Katherine sank into her chair. What's his play? Patricia called me directly at 5:15. Sarah pulled up notes on her phone. She says Westfield spent yesterday afternoon on calls with every board member. He's arguing that you've created chaos, that suspending Pemberton without proper process was reckless, and that the coalition meetings prove you're colluding with unions against shareholder interests. Colluding. Katherine's laugh was bitter. I'm trying to fix the company he and Pemberton broke. Patricia knows that. Jennifer Walsh and David Park know that. But Christine Blackwood is wavering. She's worried about the stock price and whether the reforms can actually show results in time. And the institutional shareholders are making noise about fiduciary duty again. Katherine drank half her coffee in one long swallow. What about the evidence? Pemberton's buried complaints, the falsified reports, Victoria Pemberton's consulting arrangement. That's what Patricia's counting on. She thinks if you walk into that executive session with concrete documentation of fraud, you can flip Christine and maybe 1 or 2 others. But Westfield's had 12 hours to spin the narrative. He's claiming you're exaggerating minor accounting issues to justify your agenda. Minor accounting issues. Katherine set down her coffee carefully, afraid she might throw it. He paid his wife $2.3 million to bury discrimination complaints. That's not accounting, Sarah. That's systematic corruption. I know. But Westfield's arguing intent matters, that Pemberton was trying to resolve issues quietly to protect the company's reputation, not hide them maliciously. Sarah's expression was grim. He's also claiming you knew about the consulting arrangement and approved it in previous budget reviews. That's a lie. I know, but can you prove it? Katherine closed her eyes. Could she? The budgets she'd approved over the years had been hundreds of pages of line items. Had she personally reviewed every consulting contract? Or had she trusted her CFO to manage those details? We need to find the original contract, Katherine said, and any email trail showing Pemberton deliberately kept it from me. Already on it. I've got legal pulling files now. But Katherine, Sarah hesitated. Even if we prove Pemberton deceived you, Westfield's going to argue that as CEO, you should have caught it, that your management failures enabled his misconduct. It was a trap. Either Katherine had known about the corruption and approved it, making her complicit, or she'd been negligent and unaware, making her incompetent. Either way, Westfield had grounds to argue she shouldn't remain CEO. What time is it? Katherine asked. Get me Patricia, Jennifer, and David on a conference call in 15 minutes. I need to know exactly where they stand before I walk into that executive session. Katherine opened her laptop. And send me everything we have on Pemberton's contract with Victoria. Every email, every budget document, every board presentation. If I'm going down, I'm taking him with me. The conference call at 6:30 a.m. was brutally honest. You're in trouble, Patricia Hughes said without preamble. Westfield's been very effective at framing this as your management crisis, not Pemberton's fraud. What's his specific argument? Katherine asked. That you've been CEO for 3 years, Jennifer Walsh said. Her voice was careful, measured. That during that time, you approved the policies that created the problems you're now claiming to discover. That your sudden conversion after going undercover is either political theater or an admission that you weren't paying attention to your own company. Katherine felt her jaw tighten. And what do you think, Jennifer? I think you were lied to systematically by your senior team. I think Pemberton and others created an information bubble that kept bad news from reaching you. But I also think, Jennifer paused, I think you weren't asking the right questions. You trusted the numbers they gave you without verifying them against operational reality. It was fair, painful but fair, Katherine said. Where do you stand? David Park's sigh carried clearly over the line. I want to support you, Katherine. The evidence against Pemberton is damning, and I believe your reforms are necessary. But I'm a fiduciary. I have legal obligations to shareholders. And right now, the stock is down 9% since you announced your undercover operation. The market doesn't believe in your turnaround plan. The market is reacting to uncertainty, Katherine said. Once we implement the reforms and show results, in 10 days, David's tone was skeptical. Katherine, you're asking us to bet the company on changes that might take months to show impact. Westfield's offering a clear alternative. Restore Pemberton, reverse the policy changes, focus on cost control and profit margins. It's not inspiring, but it's predictable. And right now, investors value predictability. Predictability built on fraud, Patricia said sharply. David, you saw the evidence. Pemberton wasn't just cutting costs. He was hiding complaints, retaliating against employees, and lying to the board about operational safety. If we go back to business as usual, we're looking at massive legal liability. If, David said, if the forensic investigation confirms fraud, if the EEOC finds discrimination, if the class action lawsuit succeeds, those are all future risks, Patricia. The stock price is a present reality. So you're voting with Westfield, Katherine said quietly. I'm saying I need more than promises and moral arguments. I need concrete evidence that your approach will work, and I need it before Friday's all-hands meeting. Because if you go public with these reforms and they fail, there's no walking it back. The company will be committed to an expensive transformation that might not succeed. Katherine looked at Sarah, who was taking notes rapidly. What would constitute concrete evidence? Customer satisfaction data showing improvement. Employee retention numbers stabilizing, operational metrics moving in the right direction. Something I can show institutional shareholders that proves we're not just spending money on feel-good policies. In 2 days, Katherine said. That's not realistic, David. These are systemic changes. They take time to implement, more time to show results. Then maybe, David said carefully, you should postpone the all-hands meeting. Give yourself more runway to demonstrate success before going public. And let Westfield win by default? Patricia's voice was sharp. David, that's exactly what he wants. Delay, delay, delay until the moment passes and everything goes back to how it was. Or, Jennifer Walsh interjected, postpone until the forensic investigation is complete. That would give Katherine the ammunition she needs to definitively prove Pemberton's misconduct, which strengthens her case for reform. Katherine felt the trap closing. Postpone and lose momentum with the coalition. Postpone and give Westfield more time to consolidate board opposition. Postpone and signal to employees that management was backing down again. Or push forward into Friday's meeting without enough board support, risk failure, and hand Westfield the evidence he needed to remove her. I need to think, Katherine said. Thank you for your honesty, all of you. Katherine, Patricia said before they disconnected. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. But you need 3 more votes to survive this. Find them fast. The line went dead at 7:03 a.m. Katherine had 57 minutes before the executive session started. Sarah was already pulling up files when Katherine looked at her. Customer satisfaction data, Sarah said. David wants proof. Let's give it to him. In 2 days? Sarah, we only implemented the policy changes yesterday. There's no way. Not from your reforms. From the undercover operation. Sarah turned her laptop toward Katherine. You flew skyward for 9 days. You documented every interaction, every problem, every failure point. I've been tracking customer complaints filed during that same period. Want to guess how many passengers on your flights filed formal complaints? Katherine looked at the spreadsheet. How many? 47 formal complaints from passengers on flights you were on. Gate delays, lost luggage, rude staff, overbooked flights, broken equipment. I've got the complaint text, the flight numbers, the dates. And here's the interesting part. Sarah pulled up another document. 18 of those complaints mentioned specific employees by name. Diana Reeves, Marcus Thompson, Alina Vasquez, others from your coalition. Employees who were trying to help passengers despite impossible policies. Katherine saw where Sarah was going. We can show that the problems aren't the employees, they're the system. Better, we can show that the employees your coalition represents were already trying to fix things before you implemented reforms, which means they're not just complaining, they're part of the solution. Sarah was typing rapidly. I can have a presentation ready in 30 minutes, showing the correlation between employee complaints about policies and customer complaints about service. It proves your coalition members know what they're talking about. That's not data showing improvement, Katherine said. That's data showing problems. It's data showing you correctly identified the problems, which is the first step toward fixing them. Sarah looked up. David Park is a venture capitalist, right? He invests in turnarounds. What does every turnaround start with? Accurate diagnosis, Katherine said slowly. Exactly. You went undercover, you found the real problems, and you built a coalition of people who live those problems daily. That's not chaos, Katherine. That's due diligence. That's exactly what a good CEO should do when reports don't match reality. Katherine felt something shift. Sarah was right. Westfield was framing her undercover operation as reckless and theatrical, but reframed as diagnostic research, as a CEO doing the hard work of understanding her own company, it became evidence of competence, not instability. Can you really have a presentation ready in 30 minutes? 25 now. You better drink more coffee. The executive session started at 8 a.m. sharp in the same boardroom where Katherine had survived Monday's emergency meeting. This time, only 8 people were present. Katherine, Westfield, Patricia Hughes, Jennifer Walsh, David Park, Christine Blackwood, and 2 board members Katherine knew would vote with Westfield, Gerald Blackstone and Robert Chen. Westfield didn't waste time on pleasantries. This company is in crisis, he said, standing at the head of the table in what should have been Katherine's position. Stock down 9% in 3 days. Wall Street Journal questioning our leadership. Institutional shareholders demanding action. And our CEO has spent the last 48 hours meeting secretly with union representatives and suspending our CFO without proper process. The suspension followed documented evidence of fraud, Patricia said sharply. Alleged fraud. Evidence that Katherine herself compiled and presented without independent verification. Evidence that conveniently supports her political agenda. Political agenda? Katherine kept her voice level. I'm trying to fix systemic problems that are costing this company millions. You're trying to save your job, Westfield said bluntly, and you're willing to throw Richard Pemberton under the bus to do it. Katherine opened her laptop. Sarah, can you display the presentation? Sarah, sitting against the wall with other executive assistants, pulled up the file on the room's main screen. During my 9 days undercover, Katherine began, I flew 8 Skyward flights as a regular passenger. I documented every interaction, every policy failure, every moment where company procedures prevented employees from providing good service. What I didn't know until this morning was that 47 passengers on those same flights filed formal complaints. The screen showed a chart correlating flight numbers, dates, and complaint types. 47 complaints in 9 days, Katherine continued. That's an average of 5.2 complaints per flight. Our company average is 2.1. Want to know why these flights had more than double the normal complaint rate? She clicked to the next slide, showing a breakdown of complaint causes. Overbooked flights, 12 complaints. Equipment failures, 8 complaints. Staff unable to accommodate reasonable requests due to policy restrictions, 15 complaints. Gate delays from understaffing, 9 complaints. Lost luggage from rushed turnarounds, 3 complaints. This proves my point, Westfield said. Operational failures under your leadership. No, Katherine said. Operational failures under policies Richard Pemberton implemented. Policies I approved based on financial projections he gave me. Projections that didn't account for customer satisfaction impact because he was systematically burying customer complaints. She clicked again. The screen now showed employee names mentioned in complaints, but highlighted in green, not red. 18 complaints specifically mention employees by name, Katherine said. Diana Reeves, Marcus Thompson, Elena Vasquez, Raymond Chen. Know what they have in common? They're all part of the coalition I've been meeting with, and every single mention is positive. Passengers praising employees who tried to help despite policies that prevented them from doing their jobs effectively. Christine Blackwood leaned forward, studying the screen. You're saying the employees we're hearing from are the good ones? I'm saying the employees who've been complaining about our policies are the same ones passengers wish we had more of. They're not the problem, Christine. They're the solution we've been ignoring. David Park was reading the complaint text on screen. This passenger says, the flight attendant tried everything to help, but said company policy prevented her from providing meal vouchers for a 6-hour delay. That's Diana Reeves? Yes, and we've since restored meal allowances, which means Diana can now do what she was already trying to do, take care of passengers. Anecdotal, Westfield said. You're cherry-picking examples to support your narrative. Then let's look at the full data. Katherine clicked to a new slide showing 3 years of trends. Customer satisfaction down 17 points. Employee turnover up 42%. Safety incidents up 34%. All correlating directly with the cost-cutting measures Richard Pemberton implemented. This isn't anecdotal, Marcus. This is systematic evidence that the policies you're defending have been destroying this company. While generating record profits, Westfield countered. Short-term profits, Patricia interjected. Katherine's projections show we're losing high-value customers. David, you saw those numbers Monday. Business travelers switching to competitors at twice the industry rate. That's not sustainable. Neither is spending $18 million on reforms that might not work, Gerald Blackstone said. He'd been silent until now, but his tone made clear he was firmly in Westfield's camp. Katherine, you're asking us to bet the company on your instinct that treating employees better will somehow translate to profits. That's not a business plan. That's wishful thinking. Katherine met his eyes. Southwest Airlines has the highest customer satisfaction in the industry and the highest profit margins. Virgin America was rated #1 for customer service and had the lowest cost structure before acquisition. JetBlue built its brand on customer experience and outperforms us on every metric. This isn't wishful thinking, Gerald. This is proven business strategy. For other airlines, Robert Chen said. Not for Skyward. Because we've never tried it, Katherine said. We've spent 3 years cutting costs and squeezing employees, and it's made everything worse. I'm proposing we try something different. With 10 days to show results, David Park said quietly. Katherine, I want to support you, but I need more than historical data from other airlines. I need evidence that your specific reforms will work for Skyward. Katherine looked at Sarah, who gave a tiny nod. Then let's talk about what's already changing, Katherine said. Yesterday, we implemented immediate policy changes, meal allowances restored, time limits eliminated, crew rest periods mandated. Those changes cost us nothing to implement. They're just policy reversals. Want to know what happened in the first 24 hours? She clicked to a new slide that Sarah had prepared during the meeting. 53 emails to corporate HR from employees, Katherine said. Not complaints this time. Thank you notes. Employees saying they felt heard for the first time in years. 3 employees who'd submitted resignation letters asked to withdraw them. And this morning, our customer service line reported a 23% decrease in angry calls compared to yesterday. In one day? Christine Blackwood looked skeptical. In one day, Katherine confirmed, because employees who feel supported provide better service, and passengers respond to better service with fewer complaints. That's not statistically significant, Westfield said. 1 day of data means nothing, which is why I need more time, Katherine said. Give me until Friday's all-hands meeting. Let me announce these reforms publicly and give employees a reason to believe change is real. Then give me 30 days to show measurable improvement in customer satisfaction, employee retention, and operational efficiency. If the numbers don't move, I'll resign. The room went silent. You'll resign? Jennifer Walsh said carefully. You're putting your job on the line? I already did that when I went undercover, Katherine said. I'm just making it official. 30 days to prove the reforms work, or I step down voluntarily. No fight, no severance negotiation, no press drama. I'll resign and recommend a successor who can continue the work. Westfield's expression was calculating. And if we say no, if we remove you now, then you'll have a public fight, Katherine said flatly. I'll take everything I learned undercover to the media. Every buried complaint, every falsified report, every example of systematic misconduct. I'll make sure every employee and passenger knows exactly why I was removed. And I'll let the court of public opinion decide whether I was trying to fix the company or destroy it. That's a threat, Gerald Blackstone said. That's a promise, Katherine corrected. You want to frame this as my management failure? Fine. But I'm not going quietly while you protect the people who actually broke this company. Patricia Hughes smiled slightly. I move that we accept Katherine's proposal. 30 days to demonstrate measurable improvement in customer satisfaction, employee retention, and operational efficiency. If results are not evident by then, she resigns voluntarily. Second, Jennifer Walsh said. Westfield looked around the table, clearly calculating votes. This is a mistake. Maybe, David Park said. But it's a quantifiable mistake. We'll know in 30 days whether Katherine's approach works. That's better than removing her now and wondering if we made the wrong call. Christine Blackwood nodded slowly. I agree. 30 days is reasonable. Westfield's jaw tightened. Fine. All in favor? Patricia, Jennifer, David, and Christine raised their hands. 4 votes. Westfield didn't raise his hand. Neither did Gerald or Robert. 3 opposed. Motion passes, Patricia said. Katherine has 30 days. Westfield stood abruptly. This board will regret this decision, and when Katherine's reforms fail, I'll make sure everyone remembers who voted to keep her. He walked out without another word. Gerald and Robert followed, leaving Katherine with her 4 supporters and the weight of what she'd just promised. 30 days, Christine said quietly. Don't make us regret this, Katherine. I won't, Katherine said. But as the board members filed out and Sarah began packing up the laptop, Katherine wondered if she'd just made a promise she couldn't keep. By 10 a.m., news of Katherine's 30-day ultimatum had leaked to financial media. By noon, Skyward stock had recovered 2% as investors responded positively to the concrete timeline and metrics. By 2 p.m., Katherine was in back-to-back meetings with department heads, implementing the next wave of reforms. And by 5 p.m., when James Rivera arrived for their scheduled check-in, Katherine was exhausted but grimly satisfied. Heard you put your job on the line, James said, settling into the chair across from her desk. Heard that already? Diana texted the whole coalition. You're either brave or crazy. Probably both, Katherine admitted. But it was the only way to get Westfield to back off long enough to prove this works. 30 days, James said. That's not much time. No, but it's what we've got. Katherine pulled up her calendar. Friday's all-hands meeting is critical. I need the coalition there, James. I need employees to see that frontline workers support these changes. They'll be there, James said. But Katherine, what happens if this doesn't work? If 30 days isn't enough time to show results? Katherine met his eyes. Then I resign, and you'll have a new CEO who hopefully learned from my mistakes. Or who goes back to Pemberton's approach, James said quietly. Not if I can help it. I've already started documenting everything. Every reform, every implementation step, every piece of evidence showing what works. If I go down, I'm leaving a roadmap for whoever comes next. James studied her for a long moment. You really mean this, don't you? You're not just trying to save your job. I'm trying to save the company, Katherine said. My job is just collateral damage at this point. Then let's make sure you don't have to resign. James pulled out his phone. Coalition meeting tonight at my place, 7 p.m. We need to finalize the message for Friday's all hands. And Katherine, bring coffee. The good stuff this time, not bodega. Katherine laughed despite herself. Deal. As James left, Sarah appeared in the doorway. You have 17 more interviews requested. The New York Times wants to move up your exclusive to tomorrow, and the union representatives want to meet before Friday's all hands, Sarah said. Also, Patricia called. She wants you to know that Westfield's already making calls to institutional shareholders, trying to undermine your 30-day timeline. Of course he is. Katherine said. What else? Miguel asked if you'd be working late again. He wanted to know if you'd like to see Maria's Mars project when she brings it by the office tomorrow. Katherine felt something warm cut through the exhaustion. Tell him yes. Definitely yes. Sarah smiled. You're going to make it through this, you know. You sound confident. I am. Because you're not fighting for your job anymore, Katherine. You're fighting for something bigger. And people respond to that. Katherine looked out her window at the city below. Millions of people going about their lives, including the Skyward employees whose futures depended on what she did next. 30 days to prove that treating people with dignity could be profitable. 30 days to show that corporations could change. 30 days to transform an industry built on exploitation into something better. It wasn't enough time, but it was all she had. And Katherine Morrison had learned something during her 9 days undercover that Marcus Westfield would never understand. When you fight for people instead of against them, you don't fight alone. Her phone buzzed with a text from Diana Reeves. Coalition's got your back. Let's show them what real change looks like. Katherine smiled and started typing her response. The war was far from over, but for the first time since returning from undercover, she felt like she might actually win. Summary. Katherine survives another board challenge by offering to resign voluntarily in 30 days if her reforms don't show measurable results, forcing Marcus Westfield to back down temporarily. She presents evidence from her undercover operation proving that employee complaints correlate with customer service problems, convincing swing voters David Park and Christine Blackwood to give her more time. As financial media reports on her ultimatum, and the stock recovers slightly, Katherine prepares for Friday's critical all-hands meeting with coalition support, knowing she has just 30 days to prove corporate transformation is possible. Character score updates. Katherine Morrison. Name, Katherine Morrison. Age, 43. Physical description, age, 43. Gender, female. Ethnicity, black. Skin tone, deep brown. Build, slender and fit. Hair. Natural black hair, usually styled professionally. Eyes, dark brown. Clothing, professional business attire, tailored suits. Distinguishing features, carries herself with executive presence despite exhaustion. Current state, exhausted but energized after surviving executive session by putting her job on the line with a 30-day ultimatum to prove reforms work or resign voluntarily. Running on 3 hours of sleep and multiple coffees but feeling genuine hope for the first time since returning from undercover. Traits, strategic, determined, increasingly authentic, willing to sacrifice position for principles, learning to collaborate. Relationships. Sarah Chen. Deep professional partnership evolving into genuine friendship. Sarah provided critical presentation support during executive session. Marcus Westfield. Open warfare. Westfield attempting to undermine her 30-day timeline with institutional shareholders. James Rivera. Growing alliance built on mutual respect and shared commitment to reform. Hosting coalition meeting tonight. Patricia Hughes. Strong ally who moved Katherine's 30-day proposal and continues supporting despite risks. David Park, swing voter who agreed to 30 days but needs concrete evidence of improvement. Miguel, developing genuine connection, will meet his daughter Maria and see her Mars project tomorrow. Sarah Chen, name Sarah Chen, age 31, physical description, age 31, gender, female, ethnicity, Chinese American, skin tone, light olive, build, petite and energetic, hair, straight black hair, practical style. Eyes, dark brown. Clothing, professional but practical business casual. Distinguishing features, runs on minimal sleep, always has coffee ready. Current state, running on 3 hours of sleep after compiling critical presentation data that helped Katherine survive the executive session. Managing 17 interview requests and coordinating coalition meetings while trying to keep Katherine functioning. Traits, brilliant researcher. Fiercely loyal, strategic thinker, protective of Katherine, exhausted but driven. Relationships. Katherine Morrison. Deep professional partnership. Created presentation in 30 minutes that reframed Katherine's undercover operation as diagnostic research. Patricia Hughes. Direct communication channel for board intelligence. Miguel. Friendly relationship. Coordinates Katherine's schedule around his family updates. Marcus Westfield. Name, Marcus Westfield. Age, 62. Physical description, age 62. Gender, male. Ethnicity, Caucasian. Skin tone, fair with age spots. Build, stocky. Former athlete gone soft. Hair, gray, thinning. Eyes, cold blue. Clothing, expensive suits, traditional corporate style. Distinguishing features. Walks with entitled confidence, commands rooms by assumption of authority. Current state, furious after failing to remove Katherine in executive session. Already making calls to institutional shareholders to undermine her 30-day timeline and build case for her eventual removal. Traits, calculating, ruthless, politically skilled, profit-obsessed, vindictive. Relationships. Katherine Morrison, open warfare, walked out of executive session after losing vote and threatened board members who supported her. Gerald Blackstone, solid ally who voted against Katherine's 30-day extension. Robert Chen shareholder, solid ally who voted against Katherine's 30-day extension. Richard Pemberton, former ally now suspended, Westfield's attempt to restore him failed. James Rivera, name James Rivera, age 34. Physical description, age 34, gender male, ethnicity Puerto Rican, skin tone medium brown, build lean and fit, hair dark brown, short, eyes dark brown. Clothing, flight attendant uniform at work, casual, comfortable clothes otherwise. Distinguishing features, warm smile that reaches his eyes, natural leadership presence. Current state, cautiously optimistic about Katherine's 30-day commitment. Organizing coalition meeting for tonight at his Queens apartment to finalize Friday's all-hands message, requesting Katherine bring good coffee. Traits, authentic, skeptical but fair, natural leader, uses humor to cope, protective of coalition members. Relationships. Katherine Morrison, evolving alliance built on honest communication and shared commitment to reform, testing whether she's genuinely changed. Diana Reeves, coalition co-leader, coordinates worker response. Coalition members, trusted leader who they follow into risky territory of supporting management. Patricia Hughes, name, Patricia Hughes, age 58, physical description, age 58, gender, female, ethnicity, Caucasian. Skin tone, fair with some sun damage. Build, average height, professional presence. Hair, silver gray, cut in professional bob. Eyes, sharp blue. Clothing, expensive but understated business suits. Distinguishing features, commanding presence, direct gaze. Current state, strong ally who moved Katherine's 30-day proposal in executive session. Providing intelligence about Westfield's continued opposition and warning Katherine that he's already working to undermine her timeline. Traits, principled, politically astute, direct, protective of company reputation, willing to fight for what's right. Relationships. Katherine Morrison, strong alliance, moved critical motion giving Katherine 30 days to prove reforms. Sarah Chen, direct communication channel for board intelligence. Marcus Westfield, open opposition, warned other board members about his threats. Jennifer Walsh, allied swing voter who seconded Patricia's motion. David Park, name, David Park, age 49, physical description, age 49, gender, male, ethnicity, Korean American, skin tone, medium tan, build, average height, fit from regular exercise, hair, black with some gray professional cut, eyes, dark brown behind wire-rimmed glasses, clothing, business casual, venture capitalist style, distinguishing features, thoughtful expression, analytical demeanor. Current state, swing voter who agreed to give Katherine 30 days but needs concrete evidence of improvement. Convinced by Katherine's reframing of undercover operation as diagnostic research and by her willingness to resign if reforms fail. Traits: analytical, fair-minded, risk-averse, data-driven, pragmatic. Relationships: Katherine Morrison, cautious support contingent on measurable results, voted to give her 30 days. Marcus Westfield, professional opposition, rejected Westfield's arguments but remained skeptical. Patricia Hughes, allied on current vote but relationship still developing. Jennifer Walsh, name, Jennifer Walsh, age 52, physical description, age 52, gender, female, ethnicity, Caucasian, skin tone, fair, build, average height, professional appearance, hair, brown with blonde highlights, styled conservatively, eyes, hazel. Clothing, professional business attire, distinguishing features, careful, measured speech pattern. Current state, swing voter who seconded Patricia's motion giving Katherine 30 days. Concerned about legal exposure but convinced by evidence that Katherine correctly diagnosed company problems through undercover operation. Traits: careful, analytical, concerned about legal liability, fair-minded, pragmatic. Relationships: Katherine Morrison, cautious support, seconded 30-day motion, but warned Katherine on conference call about management failures. Patricia Hughes, allied on current vote. Marcus Westfield, professional opposition, rejected his arguments, but remains watchful. Christine Blackwood, name, Christine Blackwood, age 55, physical description, age 55, gender, female, ethnicity, Caucasian, skin tone, fair, build, average height, professional appearance, hair, dark brown, professional style, eyes, brown, clothing, conservative business suits, distinguishing features, cautious demeanor, careful decision maker. Current state, swing voter who agreed to give Katherine 30 days after being convinced by evidence that employee complaints correlate with customer service problems, will attend Friday's all-hands meeting to observe employee response. Traits: cautious, concerned about stock price, analytical, risk-averse, fair when presented with evidence. Relationships: Katherine Morrison, cautious support for 30 days, warned her not to make board regret the decision. Marcus Westfield, rejected his arguments but remains concerned about financial performance. David Park, allied on current vote. Miguel, name, Miguel Rodriguez, age 47, physical description, age 47, gender, male, ethnicity, Latino, skin tone, medium brown, build, average height, slight build, hair, dark brown with some gray, eyes, warm brown, clothing, security guard uniform, Distinguishing features: warm smile, father's pride in his eyes when talking about daughter. Current state: working night shifts to support daughter Maria's education. Pleased that Katherine remembered his daughter's Mars project and surprised by her genuine interest. Will bring Maria to the office tomorrow to show Katherine the completed project. Traits: dedicated father, hardworking, warm, surprised by executive attention, proud of daughter. Relationships: Katherine Morrison, developing genuine connection. Katherine now remembers his daughter's name and interests. Maria Rodriguez, devoted father supporting daughter's astronaut dreams. Sarah Chen, friendly professional relationship. Diana Reeves, name. Diana Reeves, age 43, physical description, age 43, gender female, ethnicity Caucasian, skin tone fair with some freckles, build sturdy and strong from years of physical work, hair auburn, pulled back in practical style, eyes green, clothing flight attendant uniform, practical off-duty clothes, distinguishing features no-nonsense demeanor, direct gaze. Current state: coalition co-leader who texted entire coalition about Katherine's 30-day ultimatum. Mentioned positively in customer complaints for trying to help passengers despite policy restrictions. Preparing for Friday's all-hands meeting and tonight's coalition strategy session. Traits: no nonsense, protective of workers, skeptical of management, natural leader, direct communicator. Relationships: Katherine Morrison, cautious alliance. Texted Katherine that coalition has her back. James Rivera, coalition co-leader and ally. Coalition members, respected leader who coordinates worker response. Gerald Blackstone, name Gerald Blackstone, age 64. Physical description, age 64, gender male, ethnicity Caucasian, skin tone ruddy complexion, build heavyset, hair white, thinning, eyes gray, clothing expensive traditional business suits. Distinguishing features: represents old guard institutional investors. Current state: voted against Katherine's 30-day extension, arguing reforms are wishful thinking, not business strategy. Firmly aligned with Westfield's profit-first approach. Traits: traditional, profit-focused, skeptical of worker-friendly reforms, risk-averse, dismissive of social responsibility. Relationships: Marcus Westfield, strong ally, voted with him against Katherine. Katherine Morrison, opposition, called her reforms wishful thinking. Robert Chen, shareholder, allied institutional shareholder. Robert Chen, shareholder, name Robert Chen, age 61, physical description, age 61, gender male, ethnicity Chinese American, skin tone light tan, build thin and sharp, hair black with gray, neat cut, eyes dark brown, clothing expensive suits traditional style. Distinguishing features: sharp analytical gaze, represents institutional shareholders. Current state: voted against Katherine's 30-day extension, arguing Skyward is different from other airlines that succeeded with customer-focused strategies. Firmly aligned with Westfield. Traits: analytical, skeptical, profit-focused, traditional investor mindset, risk-averse. Relationships: Westfield, strong ally, voted with him against Katherine. Katherine Morrison, opposition, doubts her reforms will work for Skyward. Gerald Blackstone, allied institutional shareholder. Maria Rodriguez, name Maria Rodriguez, age 12, physical description, age 12, gender female, ethnicity Latina, skin tone medium brown, build small for her age, energetic, hair dark brown, long, eyes bright brown. Clothing: school clothes, science project t-shirts. Distinguishing features: enthusiastic about space and science, uses magnifying glass for detailed work. Current state: stayed up until 1 a.m. painting surface details on Mars rover model using magnifying glass for solar panels. Will bring completed project to Skyward headquarters tomorrow to show Katherine. Traits: dedicated, detail-oriented, passionate about space, hardworking, dreams of being astronaut. Relationships: Miguel, devoted father who works night shifts to support her education and dreams. Katherine Morrison, will meet tomorrow. Katherine genuinely interested in her Mars project. New plotlines. Description: Katherine has 30 days to show measurable improvement in customer satisfaction, employee retention, and operational efficiency, or resign voluntarily, creating concrete timeline and stakes. Description: Marcus Westfield is already making calls to institutional shareholders to undermine Katherine's 30-day timeline despite losing the executive session vote. Financial media reporting on Katherine's 30-day ultimatum has caused stock to recover 2% as investors respond positively to concrete metrics and timeline. Description: First 24 hours of policy changes showed 53 thank you emails from employees, 3 resignation withdrawals, and 23% decrease in angry customer service calls. Description: Katherine will meet Miguel's daughter Maria tomorrow when she brings her completed Mars rover science project to the office. Description: Coalition meeting scheduled for tonight at James Rivera's apartment to finalize message for Friday's all-hands meeting. Description: New York Times wants to move up Katherine's exclusive interview to tomorrow, creating additional media pressure. Resolved plotlines. Marcus Westfield's immediate attempt to remove Katherine through emergency executive session was defeated by 4-vote margin, giving her 30 days to prove reforms. Question of whether Katherine would postpone Friday's all-hands meeting was resolved. She's moving forward despite risks. World description. Board established concrete 30-day timeline with measurable metrics for Katherine to prove reforms work or resign voluntarily. Description: Katherine's undercover operation has been successfully reframed from reckless theater to legitimate diagnostic research and board perception. Description: First measurable results from policy changes: 53 employee thank you emails, 3 resignation withdrawals, 23% decrease in customer service complaints in first 24 hours. Description: Financial markets responded positively to concrete timeline, recovering 2% of stock value after Katherine's 30-day commitment. Description: Board is now split into clear factions: 4 supporting Katherine, Patricia Hughes, Jennifer Walsh, David Park, Christine Blackwood, 3 opposing, Marcus Westfield, Gerald Blackstone, Robert Chen, with swing voters potentially movable based on results.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures. Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.